The laughter started before anyone even realized how cruel the moment had become. In the bright daylight of the luxury car showroom workshop, surrounded by polished machines worth more than most homes, a single father stood in oil-stained work boots while the most powerful woman in the room looked at him with amused disbelief. The billionaire CEO had just made a challenge that everyone assumed was impossible. "Fix the engine of the rare hypercar sitting in front of them," she had said mockingly, and she would marry him. The crowd laughed because they believed the outcome was obvious. A struggling mechanic could never solve what an entire engineering team had failed to fix. Before we continue, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Flow if you believe kindness and second chances can change lives. The man standing beside the broken machine was named Adrian Cole. His hands were rough from years of hard work, his blue mechanic uniform slightly faded, and his eyes carried the quiet exhaustion of someone who had spent many sleepless nights raising a child alone. His 6-year-old daughter was the reason he kept going even when life felt unfair. Every morning he dropped her off at school before heading to the garage where he repaired cars that others had given up on. Money was always tight, but Adrian never complained. His daughter believed he could fix anything, and that belief alone gave him strength. The billionaire CEO Victoria Halden was known across the business world for her brilliance and her ruthless confidence. She had built a global automotive empire before the age of 40, and few people ever dared to challenge her. That morning she had arrived at the showroom furious. Her newest prototype supercar, the pride of her company, refused to start despite weeks of inspection by expert engineers. The vehicle sat in the middle of the garage like a silent, expensive mystery. Adrian had been called in only because he happened to be nearby when the problem was mentioned. One of the employees jokingly suggested letting the local mechanic take a look. When Adrian approached the car with quiet curiosity, the room filled with whispers and smirks. Victoria watched him examine the engine with a raised eyebrow. Then, half amused and half irritated, she made the challenge that would echo through the room. If he could fix it, she would marry him. It was meant as a joke, a moment of sarcasm meant to entertain the watching employees. But Adrian did not react with embarrassment or anger. Instead, he calmly rolled up his sleeves and looked deeper into the engine. The laughter slowly faded as he began carefully inspecting each component. For Adrian, this was not about pride or proving anyone wrong. It was simply another broken machine waiting to be understood. The sunlight streamed through the high windows of the workshop as hours passed. Engineers who had once mocked him now watched quietly. Adrian moved with patience, listening to the faint clicks of metal, studying the wiring, feeling the temperature of the parts with experienced hands. Years of fixing worn-out engines in a small neighborhood garage had taught him something textbooks often missed. Machines told their stories to those willing to listen. Meanwhile, Victoria stood nearby with crossed arms, her confident smile slowly fading into curiosity. She had expected Adrian to give up within minutes. Instead, she saw something unusual in the way he worked. There was focus in his movements, but also calm determination, like someone who had faced harder problems in life than a broken engine. Finally, Adrian paused and gently adjusted a hidden fuel control module buried beneath the engine frame. It was a tiny flaw, almost invisible, but it had caused the entire system to fail. He tightened the component, stepped back, and wiped the grease from his hands. The garage fell silent when he turned the ignition key. The engine roared to life. The powerful sound echoed through the entire showroom, vibrating through the floor like a thunderclap. The same people,